A very good day to all of you out there. This is admav here with another episode of admav's Corner. Welcome on this October 28th, 2022. It is a very chilly Friday. Winter is upon us. Not quite here yet, it's still fall. It's not too bad really, actually. The last week has been, I don't want to say uncharacteristically warm, because winters have been weird the last few years. Global warming and such. But no, the last week has actually been quite nice. Getting temperatures above 10 degrees. For this time of year especially, it's about to turn November. That's actually pretty dang incredible. So I hope you guys were able to enjoy it somehow. I know it was in the middle of the week, so everyone's probably working indoors, or a lot of you were probably working indoors, sorry. But the last 2 days now, it's shifted back to normal fall weather. It's been single digits, feeling lower than single digits sometimes. But, things are okay. This week has been pretty tiring for me, for whatever reason. Actually, there are reasons, I think, that I'm aware of, but there might be reasons I'm not sure. I mentioned that because I just realized some things that I sort of didn't think about, but was there. It was in the space of my mind, and I just not really paid attention to it. The last couple of weeks, you may have, if you remember, rather, I was describing a situation that I was in, that I was going through. I think I'm finally okay with sharing that now. Now that there has been some time and I've really processed it. I was and this relates to relationships again. So this episode is going to be heavily focused on that. So just a heads up. But I was involved in something. I don't even know what to call it. It was never really a relationship. It was just this person that I met and was talking to, for about like a month or so. We had first met through Bumble. Not a sponsor, by the way. I'm just mentioning that's the app that I use. But I'd met her through Bumble sometime in July, actually. And apart from saying hi and that all those sort of formalities, it didn't really go anywhere. But around the end of August, we sort of reconnected a little bit. We started talking, and we kind of both agreed to start pursuing this thing, I guess, trying to figure out if there's legs to this thing. Again, it's a long distance relationship, like my previous one. It would have been, we never really, like I said, we never really got into a relationship. It was kind of it's one of those situationship things where you were kind of together and going out, but you didn't really label it, and it was still very reserved and stuff, but it went well. I really liked her. But the thing was, for me, well, actually, the initial challenge was finding out that she had a child, but I really thought about why that was stopping me from talking to her and wanting to pursue something with her. And I eventually realized that that's not really a limiting factor, because I do want children of my own someday, and it's not like I'm expected or that I need to be a father to her child. So I was okay with that. So things went well for the first few weeks, but communication was always a little iffy. She was an interior, or she still is, obviously. She's an interior designer. She's always busy. She's in the middle of the project actually when we started talking again, so she is always busy. So communication was sporadic, and I was understanding of that. I understood the situation that I was in, but it was always difficult. Sometimes she would be messaging things and I would respond to things and she wouldn't acknowledge the things I responded to. Or sometimes I would ask questions and she wouldn't answer them, and I'd ask them like 2, 3, 4 times sometimes. And she doesn't answer them, or, it takes a while for her to answer something, or it takes repetition for me to get an answer. And I understand it's because she's busy, but it feels like sometimes she's ignoring it. But that's a small thing. It's not the biggest deal, but it does add on to things, to the anxiety and sort of the doubts that you have about this thing that we were trying to figure out. But there were just some things that were difficult to deal with. She was very down on herself. I don't want to go onto details, but there was a lot of self-fulfilling prophecy type stuff that went on. And I had recognized that immediately, because that is something that I struggle with. More so in the past, not as much now. I mean, now, still a bit of that, but I'm a lot better at recognizing it and managing it compared to how I was before. But I'd recognize that, and there was just a point where, after I heard it again, I was like, I don't think this is going to work out, because I feel like there's still some things that she needs to work through, and that initial attraction to her that I wanted, the initial thing that drew me to her, that just immediately went away. There were some things that she was saying that I just recognize and am too familiar with. So it would be a disservice to me, and I believe to her, if we continue this thing. So I just let it go. I let her go, and I was firm on my decision, and did my best to not feel bad, because I had to do what was right. And at this point in my life, I have to sort of take care of myself and my own mental well-being. And that was very difficult for me to do. In previous episodes, you may know my nature and how I am. And self-blame was a big part of how I operated in the past. And this was a challenge, to not just completely blame myself and say that I was being cruel or that I was being mean. But I really had to be present, talk to people that I love and trust to try to get me to understand that what I did was something that I needed to do. It was the right thing to do. So it was just tough. I had to process all those emotions and deal with those things, those feelings, because I still felt guilt to some degree. So things were a little bit difficult on that end. But now I'm feeling a little bit better. I still hope that she's doing okay and that things work out for her. I'm sure there's someone out there that could take care of her the way she needs it, because I just know, I have this feeling that I know it's not me. That person is not me. So that self-manifesting thing is just like that self-fulfilling prophecy where you manifest things that you always say consistently, constantly. There's something to that. There is a truth to that. It's a powerful thing. Speaking something. You hear that a lot, and a lot of times it's met with, cynicism, or you kind of scoff at it. And trust me, I've done that as well. When you hear people say, "Oh, speak it out into the world, manifest it," it's a lot of woo, right? And a lot of this. It sounds a little, what's the word? A little whimsical, right? To just speak something out into existence. But there is a truth to that, because in this case, with this person that I'm referring to, she just kept saying this thing over and over again. And I know what that's like because I've done it before, where I would always say the bad things always happen to me. Of course, this is happening. It's me. This is how I am. This is my life. This is how the universe treats me. This is my course, right? This is it. And whenever I kept saying that, I would always pay attention to those types of things happening to me. And those types of things happen to everybody. First of all, they happen to anybody, right? But for me, because I was so focused on that, because all I thought of was that's what's supposed to happen to me, it really did feel that. And I would just set myself up to always feel this way. I would set myself up so that I end up in these spots where those things that I kept telling myself were going to happen because it's me, or was going to happen, sorry, because it's me. It kept happening, and I kept believing it. And it took me a while to understand that that's not how it works. And that's just an expectation. That's just a belief that I put on myself because of my anxiety and my depression and my low sense of self-confidence and all that stuff. So it took me a while, but I've worked on it. I've worked really hard on it, and I'm better now. And that's what I kind of wanted to bring up today, because I think there are so many people out there that face the same issue, where they don't think they're really doing anything wrong, but they have this very rigid mindset about how things are supposed to end up, how things are supposed to be, because of course, I do this and it's that. It's almost like a superstition in some way. It's almost like, like a being able to see the future, because because you believe that that's your destiny and that's your future, right? And we talked about destiny previously, but not really the topic here. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're so set on things supposedly happening because that's what happens, that they actually do end up happening. You somehow or another, whether consciously or subconsciously, bring that into existence so that it becomes the truth, and then you continue believing it, and it's just this feedback, this negative feedback loop. And it's really hard to kick that habit. It took me like my entire 20s basically, and a little bit of my 30s to sort of escape the gravity of the pull of that. So there's nothing that I can say that'll really be a solution to that. And I know that's not the goal here. The goal here is to share my perspective so that you know that you're not alone and that other people such as myself struggle with this. But as usual, it's the best thing I could say based on my own experiences to just keep learning to be in the present moment. Things haven't happened. Be in the present. Try to be good. Try to do good. Whatever happens, happens. You got to let go of that control. A lot of us try to maintain that control. We try to make sure that things are always within our grasp and that we can change it according to how we feel we need. That's not the case. That really isn't the case. The more you realize and understand that you don't have much control over some things, the better off you're going to be. And I'm not saying that you don't have control over anything at all. There are some things that you can control, absolutely, and that you need to control, right? But the ability to let go is also just as hard to learn. But it's such an important thing, because being able to let go of things helps you carry less weight, unnecessary baggage along this journey in life. And as always, I suggest that you learn how to talk to yourself, how to have conversations with yourself, friendly conversations wherein you feel like you're talking to somebody you love. I say this all the time, and I'm going to continue saying it. because it is still something that I do on a regular basis. Even on days where I don't feel very inspired or I feel kind of burnt out or silly to talk to myself. I acknowledge the fact that I'm feeling that way, but I still try to talk to myself because it's necessary. It's necessary because it helps you break down the things that you need to break down, that you're sorting through in your head. Now, sometimes quiet is also good, and you need those days. But after those days where you've given yourself a break, you really do have to think about things and break them down and process them. And being able to do that and being understanding of yourself and being forgiving of yourself as well can really help with these negative things that you say about yourself that end up becoming true or end up happening in real life. So I understand it's very hard. And for those who feel like there's no way out, I'm sorry to hear you're so stressed out and anxious and hopeless. It is hard. It is very challenging. But you can do it. There is no doubt in my mind that you can do it. Because for me, there was also a point where it was nothing but doubt. And I never thought I could be a place where I could just let things go and say it'll work out. Especially for myself. I mean, I could say that to my friends and family, but I could never say that for myself. But now I'm in a much better place where I can say that and actually believe it. And so I say this wholeheartedly, and I believe it from the bottom of my heart. You can do this. You're strong. You don't always have to be. You can be vulnerable and you can be weak sometimes, but you are strong, know that. And that you can get through these things and you can learn and you can learn from the experiences you have in life and be better. And you can have the ability to enjoy life despite these anxieties. Despite these bad days. And I truly believe that. Remember, there is a light in everybody. Sometimes you just have to help it out a little bit so that you can shine. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. And as always, take care, everyone.